Good afternoon, YouTube. My name is Daith, and I am going to give my unscripted thoughts about the new Captain America Brave New World movie. Went and saw it yesterday afternoon, and overall, I think it was okay. There's a lot of it that's good, and there's a lot of it that's just kind of mediocre. No, nothing against the acting. Actually, if anything, I think the acting was really good. Anthony Mackie does pretty good as Sam in the new Captain America role. He's, building on himself as the new Captain America, even though it feels very well that, people recognize him as Captain America already in the movie. I mean, beginning of the movie, he's already, at a bar. He's, chilling out at a bar and people are buying him drinks, hey, Cap, he's comfortable in the role as is that way. Anyways, going back here, let's see. So the movie pretty much starts with the president, the newly elected president, who in previous movies, well, the General Thunderbolt Ross from all the way back in the Incredible Hulk, and we saw him again in Civil War, and off and on here and there. So he's now the newly elected president, and we're going into this new new term of his, with kind of clashing back and forth between wanting Sam to fall in line under him and restart the Avengers with his authority. And you definitely get that feel with Ross's character previously. He wants to be the one to pull the strings, and and Harrison Ford takes over really well in that role. I mean, it's a little awkward, with the previous actor, passing and everything. But and but it's a role that Ford works with really well. He jumps into it. It's not like it's the first time he's been the president in the movie, anyways. Anyways, so as the movie's starting, we're basically going in. Sam and his buddy, let's see, Torres, you know, introduced in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's kind of taking up the old Falcon gear, and has basically become like Sam's Captain America sidekick, just kind of like in the comics. So, and they both have they it kind of starts out with Sam, after his introduction. Well, I can't remember. Does the bar come first? Anyways, so they go on a mission to stop like a terrorist group from like obtaining some sort of package, and then like blah. Can you tell I'm new to this? So they stop the bad guys. You know, part of them including I can never say his name right. Esposito. You know the he plays the group of the terrorists, or the leader of the terrorist organization, Sidewinder. The Serpent Society is who he's in charge of here. But in this, it's not like any sort of really heavy snake themed thing. They're all just normal terrorists for the most part. So, and though it does come up interesting later about where his origins may lie, but I'll leave that for later. I'll try and go heavy spoilers maybe later in the video. So as we're going, after that, you know, Torres got a little bit of Falcon action during this, thing with the terrorists. And Sam's like, okay, fine, I'll help you. We'll get you some training. And they end up going back to Isaiah Bradley from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, good to see Carl Lumbly Black in the role. You know, but and here's where things kind of start going down. So, anyways, Bradley still has a beef on his, or beef with the government after basically they experimented on him as a prototype Captain America. I don't know if I can't remember if the MCU had him before Steve or not in this, but anyways, so with the whole thing with him, being, you know, experimented on and he's, still kind of like antsy about, working with the government. So that's when Sam gets the invite to the White House from the Ross to, go basically go and, get, pictures taken, congratulate him in front of the, in front of the press and everything, and propose the new Avengers initiative under him. But of course, Sam, being who he is, tries to use this as an opportunity for Isaiah to get a bit more of an apology from I mean Ross. I don't think was involved with any of that at the time, but anyways, so he brings it's like Torres, Sam, and Bradley all going to the fancy shindig in the White House. Turns out it's also like where we start seeing the repercussions from the Eternals movie, surprisingly. The giant celestial head broken out of the earth. Spoilers for a few years old movie that no one really cares about. But so, and this is where we get a little into where we might be going with future movies here. The celestial head has become the source of the newly discovered adamantium in the MCU. So adamantium's no new thing to us who've been in Marvel forever. We all know Wolverine's claws are all made out of it and everything, his bones and etc. So, and this is like seen by all the governments as like kind of a race to get to the get to the celestial and like start claiming the adamantium for themselves. Part of which was the package which Sam and Torres got from Sidewinder earlier. It was a sample of it. So, anyways, at this point in the movie, as Ross is up in the middle of this, stay on this stage, this is when all of a sudden Bradley gets up and tries to assassinate him. Big, big chase scene happens, and you definitely see the difference between Isaiah, who's had the super soldier serum, and then Sam, who's still just a normal guy, just usually teched out. You know, sure, Sam is able to eventually catch up to him, but only when Isaiah finally kind of like snaps out of whatever's going on. So Sam basically, after telling Isaiah to turn himself in, I should probably just say spoilers from this point on because we're getting into it anyways. I'm sorry. So anyways, Sam basically goes back to the White House, barges into the White House war room, and basically has it out with Ross about this whole thing. And like basically Ross is a little perturbed because one one of the guys who tried to assassinate him, Isaiah wasn't the only one in the room. There was a few others that actually tried to do some harm in the in the briefing. But since Isaiah was part of Sam's guests there, Ross is perturbed, wants nothing to do with Sam now, tries to brush him away, and is helped by basically his new second right hand woman, Um, uh, I want to, I know her by her Sabra in the comics, but Ruth Bat Seraph. So, so in this version, so yes, it's already come to light that yeah, she's not a mutant in this version, and essentially, spoilers right now for her, she is still an Israeli, but she is actually a former part of the Red Room that, trained Black Widow and, her sister. So where that comes into play, I don't know. I mean, it was just kind of like they mentioned that just to, give her some credit, basically. And, it works. She's kind of a badass in the movie throughout the movie, but she's basically heavily into Ross's camp here at the beginning of the movie. So we go on, and of course, Sam, tries to get, goes to Isaiah, tries to get him to, cooperate, and Bradley's just confused as all heck because he last thing he remembers was, basically sitting down into the briefing, and then the next thing he's standing in the middle of Washington D.C., talking to Sam like what's going on. So we go on. There's a few things that happen in between the movies. I mean, Sidewinder comes back, tries to ambush Sam at some point after, basically Sidewinder got supposedly played by whoever hired him earlier on the movie because, it was basically a setup to, have the government come in and, take the adamantium back. So it all ends up, coming to head that, whoever's doing this is sending out a signal through like phones or something that you flash it, they flash and brainwash people, and basically, whatever, I don't know how he's getting the message to do whatever he wants, but essentially this, through their phones they're being brainwashed, or whatever screen they're to, and it's all coming back to this black ops site that no one know, in the middle of, nowhere. So as Sam and yeah, Torres go to check out this site, you know, Seraph, she's Sabra, whatever. I just want to call her Sabra. It's what I know. So she basically is, tailing them while basically I mean, Ross is basically trying to keep this deal to, cooperate with Japan and other nations to get that adamantium. But it's coming to light that through manipulations that the US government is the one responsible for the, for a lot of, well, the like BS going on. It's so anyways, we Sam and Torres get to the black site, and it turns out we're reintroduced to a character all the way back from the nearly the big second movie of the MCU, really, and that would be Samuel Stearns, the scientist who, near the end of the Incredible Hulk, basically, had Hulk's blood drip into his head, and even from the reaction there, we knew, like, was it 16 years ago that, this was basically him becoming the Incredible Hulk character of the leader. And the way they did it in live action, I mean, they did give him the, well, basically his brain is showing out of the top of his head. He's still green. He's got green glowing eyes a bit. One's kind of like cloudy, actually. Looks, and for the reality of the MCU, it looks pretty good. You know, I mean, it's always going to look a little hokey with, everything, with exposed brain matter coming out of his head and everything, but it's not like gigantic like, it would be in the comics or like conical or anything. No, it's just like kind of like brain matter over the top of his head with like even some of his hair still a little bit still there. So, anyway, so it comes to light that, of course, he's the mastermind behind everything. You know, he's basically been setting Ross up to take a fall throughout the entire movie. As it turns out, Ross basically he at in between movies basically, after the Incredible Hulk, he had basically uh, taken Stearns to this black site and up the gamma on him so it would actually increase what it was doing, and knowing that it was turning Stearns into a more intelligent guy. So, and he basically kept Stearns under lock and key because of this incident. The whole Hulk thing, was his inciting way of, charging him with some sort of crime. And he kept him on this black site working for him. Of course, at this point, it was, Stearns who ended up helping him become president at some point and, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, the promise was that after he got to be president, that Stearns would go free. And of course, Ross went against that and, kept him there. So this is Stearns finally revolting and, getting out of, getting his revenge for like the last decade and a half of being imprisoned. So it goes down the, climax of the movie, well, semi climax. Ross has basically been taking these pills, we've been seeing throughout the movie. And it comes to light that part of things that, Stearns was helping with him with was a heart condition. So these pills, have been keeping him alive basically. You can kind of guess where this is going from, when you if you've seen the previews, but anyway, so even though they did kind of figure out the brainwashing thing, there were still two pilots that Stearns got to, and he basically ends up using these pilots to ooh, basically attack the Japanese fleet. And there's a big, international back and forth, and Sam and Torres basically have to try and stop it. And they're successful, but in the meantime, Stearns had contacted Ross and was basically almost getting him to turn, and you know what I mean by that if you've seen the previews. But just Sam and Torres stopped just in time beforehand. So anyway, Stearns basically comes to Sam in DC, a little pissed off that he stopped the whole thing from going down on at sea, basically. So, but you know, Ross is there and at the White House in front of the, you know, I'm not sure, I'm not basically in front of the White House doing a press interview, and basically, it's to basically, hey, we're still in the deal, everything's fine, hunky dory. And then Stern starts playing some of the confession, or not, well, some of the he recorded some of their conversation while he was while they were talking during the whole sea confrontation. Plus, Stearns had basically right there and then gave himself up, and the press already got wind of it. All this starts to trigger Ross, and basically he finally turns into the Red Hulk. So the pills that he'd been popping that Stearns gave him have, of course, been laced with gamma, and he's been upping the dosage ever, so slowly over the years. So, and basically the climax of the movie is basically Sam and the Hulk Red Hulk, going at it throughout Washington D.C. And a big thing with Ross over the course of the movie is he's been trying to show that he's a better man at this point. Betty, his daughter from the Incredible Hulk, still barely in the movie actually, but still played by Liv Tyler, thankfully. Okay, so she basically hasn't even talked to him in the years since, you know, and this was he's been trying over the course of years to try and talk to her again. Right before the press conference, she finally answers the phone, and they kind of reconcile a little bit. But of course, all this goes down. But Sam knows that this has been going on, and near the end of the fight, a lot. I'm not gonna spoil the action because there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on. A lot of creative use with the wings, especially now that we got the whole vibranium wings going on. You know, there's a thing. So, blah. So Sam talks him down, and basically, Ross basically surrenders after getting medical treatment. And the movie ends basically with Ross being put in the raft. So, the prison that he put all the other superheroes in that caught during Civil War. And, but he's done this voluntarily. He's stepped down from being the president, and, things are being smoothed over. The deal went through. The one thing that got me about this movie throughout the entire movie, they never named who Ross's VP was. It wasn't Bat Seraph. She was, just like kind of like the head of the, well, I don't know if she was ever named as one, but Secret Service basically. And so, I mean, we don't know who's in charge of the USA after this. I guess. I mean, but anyways, so the deal's gone through, and we get a nice little thing where basically they allowed Betty into the raft to visit with Ross, and it's kind of a at least decent happy ending for Ross there. And so we basically go to credits. Surprisingly, no mid-credit scene. This has been kind of a interesting thing. There's usually always a kind of a mid-credits. The post-credits though, basically Stearns is there in the raft with Ross. So, and basically basically the it's basically Sam and Raw or Stearns talking, and Stearns is basically hinting of basically that like the other worlds are coming, not not out from space, but the other dimensions. So yeah, we know the multiverse stuff is coming. This wasn't no surprise, but considering what movies we got coming up, Thunderbolts is probably like the only next one that's gonna be kind of centered just in the MCU prior or prime basically the 616 to them, or I that's the comics to me. But so it's overall it's trying to be another Winter Soldier, and it's just not as thrilling enough. One, I mean, nothing against Mackie or Ford or Ramirez. They all played good parts for what they did. Bradley was yeah, I mean, Carl Lumbly was great as Bradley again, you know, but I don't know. The action was good. It's just I hate saying it, but where's the sex appeal? I mean, sure for the guys or for the ladies, Mackie and Ramirez, there's plenty of nice guy candy, but I'm sorry to Shira Haas, she's not ScarJo. And yeah, there was not a lot of eye candy to look at. I hate saying that, but that is kind of something that brought it down for me. But other than that, it's very much high espionage intrigue, less superhero-y, which is gonna, kill it for some people. And we do get another cameo I haven't mentioned yet. I don't know if I want to spoil that or not. I mean, it was kind of an interesting direction with where they're going with the character, knowing what we have coming up. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, I like the movie. There was a lot of fun to it, but it just quite didn't, hit the beats like, previous Captain America movies did. And I don't fault Mackie or anything like that at all. I think it's just the way it was paced. It was a very kind of slow burn movie at times. You know, there was, I mean, not to say there aren't, the decent amount of action scenes, but it was definitely more heavy into political intrigue and the whole thing of Ross's schemes and Stern's manipulations. So overall, I would say it's worth a watch. I know a lot of you out there are a little burnt on Marvel, and I don't blame you. This isn't gonna probably be one of those that would dissuade you from saying otherwise. But I think for my taste, I think it's a very middle of the road Marvel movie, smack dab right there in the middle. I don't think it's low, I don't think it's high. It's just, right there. Anyways, there's my thoughts. I don't know how well this is going to go through, but thanks for listening and have a good time. See you guys later.